Hi there, my name is Nora and I'm from Yambin Studio, and I'm here today to show you how to use live watercolor brushes on Adobe Fresco app on iPad. So these watercolor brushes were actually the reason I was downloading the app myself, as I'm super fan of watercolor art and it really intrigued me that I could do it digitally, and the way you can use water with them, and the blending and all this were so fascinating to me that I just had to get the app only because of that. And later I learned that app is doing much more, and actually I'm using the other features such as pixel brushes myself even more today in the everyday illustration life illustrator life, but these watercolor brushes are still one of my favorites there, and they're a bit relaxing. You can even do just watercolor painting here for relaxing yourself, and you can see how the water is flowing there. So this I just did for inspiration for myself, this drawing that this is watercolors, and I tested them out after a while. Actually, I haven't used them a bit because I was so focused on other brushes and other illustrations, but they actually amaze me a lot and I'm looking forward to use them more. But this is just my testing file, but today I'm creating new file with you, and let's see what's gonna happen. We will also do leaves, but I'm sure they will come out a bit different than the one I did here a few days back. So let's go ahead and start. So let's create new file and let's use print file A4. I like to use paper myself, like A4 paper, and for this we can keep it landscape. Yeah, landscape is best. So this has 300 ppi already, so if you plan to print it later, it's totally fine, and let's just press it. Okay, so we can go ahead and make it watercolor painting, the name of the file. It's just nice to name your file already, that it's not unknown forever. So it sometimes happens to me that I'm just doing new file and I'm not naming it, it's just unknown unknown file there. So it's good to always name your files. So where are these live watercolor brushes in Adobe Fresco app? They are right here. So this button here, which has a little like a water drop here, so this is the one, and they're together partnered with oil brushes, but we're not going to see them today. But these are the watercolor ones. There are 5 of them. This is the round detail, wash soft, wash flat, wet splatter, and basic watercolor. Okay, so let's get started, and I'm using round detail first. Let me take this some cool green color. Let's use a bit, yeah, like fully green one. And here is this opacity. It's actually called flow, so it means that it's like not directly opacity, but it's the flow amount of, you can imagine like my pencil here is a brush. So if I'm putting it very lightly, it's very small now, it looks very small. So if I put really lightly this on the screen, it's very, like less paint in my brush. So we imagine this is a brush, watercolor brush. So it's basically that you have less paint on your brush. But if you put flow higher, we have more paint on our brush. So we can imagine it like that. So with 2 finger tap, we can redo. And if we like undo 2 tap and redo with 3 taps. So I bring it back with 3 fingers and 2 fingers, I make it disappear. Okay, so let's use this brush. Let me see if it's correct size. It is a bit big now. Let's use a bit smaller. So let's make a big leaf. Let's use a bit bigger one. So we make like that. Let me do again, like that. Let's do this kind of leaf. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna keep this leaf like contour on this separate layer, and we go and press this down layer, and then we press plus, it goes in the middle here, the new layer. And then we're gonna use different watercolor. We use basic watercolor here, and we're gonna use a bit like lighter brush for this one. And then let's just paint loosely, but we have to make it a bit bigger and flow like, yeah, almost the highest. And you see it's flowing here. Okay, so let's cover this all, but we can keep a bit lines here like usually watercolors have. Okay, like that. And then I use different color, so I plan to use a bit like dark green here. Okay, you see how it blends in. Yeah, and then I'm gonna use a bit yellow here. So let's use yellow. Then I'm gonna use a bit biggish also here. We wanna make it like artistic one, okay? And now it was a bit big. Let's make it smaller brush. And we're gonna use it like that, okay? And you can see it makes a bit orange here. It's like blending like real watercolors too. And then I use this original color to blend this a bit here back. It just presses it back basically. And then one cool thing is that if you want to use just water, you use this double tap here. So this is your touch shortcut, and you add a bit water, and it's just blending it more into this other color. Okay, and then I used very dark here for a second. Yeah, okay, a bit here also. Maybe this one was better, not that one. Maybe that one. Let's use some other green. It doesn't really suit here. Yeah, okay, we can leave it now like that. And as this one is on separate color, it's a bit like, you know, safe here. That doesn't blend so like easily to this one. And if we touch this now here, let's undo the touch shortcut. So this one now is not blending into that one. You can see it's still okay, because also I didn't use much water to do this one. This first short, the round detail brush. Okay, but to be sure that we can do new brush strokes on this one, we're gonna try this layer, that it doesn't, you know, blend too much in everything, that it would look not like nothing, like a sponge. So I try this layer here, and I go back to here on our round detail layer, and then I'm gonna use yellow and a bit 54. So this is a bit small, a bit bigger. Yeah, and now it doesn't blend into this other color, because I tried this layer here down. Okay, let me do like that, just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect now, just for showing you how it is. And if we change this blend mode now here in the layer panel, we can make it darken. Doesn't really work. Let's see about the screen. This also doesn't work. Overlay. It's making some artistic look. Hard light. This is kind of interesting. Okay, layer light. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, so we changed the blend mode of this. Okay, so you can go ahead and play with your blend modes if you want to. You don't have to. I can just keep it normal also. And then we have this kind of like a very simple watercolor leaf. Next one I wanted to show you is another option to use watercolors. And actually, first painting I did, very big painting, I used selections for watercolors. it was just easier to get the details. So I use Lasso Tool in the selection tools here, and I have new layer here, and I'm just doing a bit similar like leaf here, but I have to use it like I make it in one line now that it's easier. Okay, so we have this selection active here. Now we go also to basic watercolor, and we are using, we can actually use different brush. You can see how it does. It's flat, wash flat one. Okay, and we can use some a bit different colors to this, and let's just use, it's very May green, it's super springy, and we can again use some pinkish here, and we can tap it for a bit more different look. And like here, blend it a bit. I'm making like a bit shadow here. A bit shadow is coming. Tiny bit shadow. Okay. If we deselect this one here, looks like that. So the lines are not looking really like watercolorish. They're not, you know, like a loose looking. So to fix that, we can first use water, pure water like that. But then we have to think that brush has to be smaller, and we can see the water flow here. So how much water we have, we can put it a bit lower that it doesn't do crazily. So we can blend it like that and like that. Here we can blend it like that. So it makes a bit like watercolor line, more loose one. But there's another option to this also. So if we undo this now, okay, let's undo this. And then we are going to do again our last selection. And to load our last selection, we have this option here, load last selection. Okay, so we have last selection loaded. Then now I'm gonna transform my selection. So I use these three dots here, I transform the selection, and I bring it from here, like, let's actually use from the middle. So if you double tap it here now, it will transform from the middle, which is what we want. Okay. That goes actually X position, but okay, it did the work still. So let's undo this one. Let's scale it a bit back. What we want to do is we're almost at the end of this leaf. Okay, that will do. So let's hit done. And now let's make new layer, and our selection goes, what we do with the selection is on the new layer. And before that, we gonna invert our selection. So invert the selection, and then we can use again our, this was here, watercolor from detail, and we can use, for example, the same what we started with, the color. And let's see, the flow is full flow. You can do it a bit lower, and water is not so much. Okay, let's try what happens now. This is super tiny. Okay, we have to put it up there. It's too big. I have to just check what would work. Okay, the flow has to be bigger, a bit bigger brush still. Okay, but that's too big. Maybe 122. Okay, so what it does for you this kind of like a bit shabby line, that it's not the selection line, you know. Okay, and we have to use a bit pinkish here to blend this a bit, otherwise it looks really fake. And let's go back to our paintbrush and then use it here. And here also I use a bit dark to blend this here in. Okay, I lost it for a second, but I brought it back with 3 fingers. All right, so let's deselect this guy here. And now it still doesn't look super good, but what we can do here is I try this layer just in case it doesn't disturb my floating here. So I use this contour layer now, and I use a bit water to blend this into my original leaf. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Did like some cool line here. Okay. Yeah, it's blended in now. Let's see how much water. We don't have much water here. Okay. And if we duplicate this, does it go better? Let's choose these 3 dots and let's duplicate this layer. It did a bit like stronger. Let's see if we hide it from here. Yeah, this is better. So I merge this down. Let's undo the water, and I merge this down like 20 dots and merge down. So it's 1 layer. So I keep it like that. And then I can use also, for example, this watercolor splatter here a bit, for example, a bit bigger, and some pink here, and some maybe yellow here, and more different colors. That it's looking very natural. I put the flow, it's already high. Okay, so this is very natural one. Okay, I'll try to make this wetness a bit more here, that it would go more blending in. Okay. Okay. And sometimes works if you don't dry the layer down, because I see now that there is still this line that would, it's like see-through because its opacity is quite high. That's why I duplicated this layer, that it would become a bit stronger. But you have to see what works for you in that moment. So we have a bit like a quirky layer here, leaf here. Okay, and let me put a bit more. Which one is this one? We used the flat one. Let's use it and let's just water. Okay, it blends into this splatter more. We have very watercolorish look now here. And I'm not super happy with the edges here because I think I should do a bit water on this one. We tried already this layer, so let me go ahead and see if I can a bit more make this line better. I still can, I just use regular water to make this line a bit more like smooth, because it's see-through from other, okay? And then it looks like very ugly. So if we undo this one and then show this one now here, it's a bit crazy looking, but it's very watercolorish looking, because with watercolor sometimes your work goes really like watery and you know, like out of hand a bit, and it happens, and it's usual things like that happen. So let's try to use different. This actually looks kind of cool. It did really like some neon effect here overlay, but it disappeared our splatter. Okay, this one darker color. And this is normal. I think darker color is much better because this line is a bit more blended now. So let's keep darker color, and let's just choose it because it doesn't let us move before we choose our blend mode, and then we can zoom it out. Okay, I think it needs a bit bigger splatter. I'm not happy with the splatter. It's just my own little thing that it's like has to be a bit cool. So we can do a bit bigger splatter here, and to have some nice like lines like this one here, we go another layer, and we can actually merge this down already, that this is like done. And this was like that, so I can actually use the round detail again and without any much water. And here I will use perhaps again yellow, and let me see how it looks like. Okay, so if I put it like that, I can turn it like that. Okay, and then like maybe some bit of wild line here. Yeah, and a bit wild line here. Okay, it starts to become something, you know. You just have to try around like what you want to. Maybe I bring this from here, and it's having this blend mode now, so it's doing things accordingly to that blend mode. Okay, all right, so it looks very like futuristic flower leaf here. And if I put a bit opacity, layer opacity a bit down, let's see, let's put it a bit down that it's more see-through, maybe like that. Yeah, it did. Okay, this looks kind of cool. I'm actually happy with it. It's a very artistic, loose watercolor look. And also this middle part is blending more in now with our other layers. So I'll show you quickly how to make groups of this. So if you choose this and this and you just drag it down, it's a group. Another way, if I undo this, is that you go 3 dots here, select multiple, and then make a selection of these two and then group them like that. And then I just bring this down. So we have 2 groups. And if we imagine that they were not in the center, we can transform them both by select multiple, both we choose, and we go to the transform tool, and we have the guides here to show that this is the center, and we hit done. Okay, so that was actually all what I wanted to show you about the live watercolors. Which options you have, you can use different blend modes, you can use different layers to create like different effects on each other, and it's very fun to play with these. You can make very detailed work, like for example this one, or very loose work like this one, and both of them are cool. And thanks a lot that you watched this video. If you want to go ahead and check about pixel brushes, how to create the artboard more better, I have these videos already done, and I'll put their links in the description down below. And thank you very much, and have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.